Okay, so I want you to, I really want to encourage you to look at your thin and round page on the Canvas site, because there are some great handouts there that talk about what we did last time for thin and what we're doing for round today. And then at the end of today, we'll discuss middle-aged, which will be our assignment on Monday. Okay, so middle-aged is a very subjective, thing. We'll talk about that when we get there. But I'd like to show you these worksheets that have been prepared for you. One of the things I would say in general about the thin face is not exaggerated enough for almost everyone. What you need to do is to make sure that we can actually see things a little more clearly, because Zoom is actually a masking tool and we can't see things as much, in terms of what you look like and all that kind of stuff. But you want to make sure these are exaggeration exercises. They're not realistic exercises. So that's why when we looked at my round face, it was pretty out there. Okay, so don't be afraid to exaggerate in any of these assignments. So let's just go to that page for a second and we'll look at the contrast. And I am not going to do that. I have to get it to the right place first because I forgot I clicked on Zoom and that doesn't help. Okay, so now we're going to go there. The luxury of teaching one class is so different than trying to teach four. All right, on our modules. You can see thin and round makeup and the makeup value chart and a thin face demo that I did before. So thin and round makeups here. And anytime you see a blue underline, click on the icon, which gives you significant information. So if this comes up a different direction, you can center it in your screen. So that you can see the full thing. This is what we were talking about with our skeleton, the frontal eminence. There's a depression right here, which is right here in the skull. The superciliary arch over the eyebrow, that's why it was highlighted during the thin face. The nasal bone, the void or the absence of bone here, because that's cartilage. The orbital fossa, the zygomatic arch, the temporal fossa, the zygomatic arch, which is the cheekbone, the infratemporal fossa, which is underneath the cheekbone where you can actually touch the back teeth, the maxilla, which is the top of the jaw above the teeth and does not move. Only the mandible, the lower jaw moves, and this is your hinge point. Okay, so on your makeup chart, your schematic, this is where you're going to shadow. This is why it's a triangular shape, because that's the shape that is made from the bone structure. So that's something that is handy for you to look at. Here is a practice that we did last time: highlight and shadow, creating the shape, thinning the lips, thinning the nose. And this is the round face, which we'll do today. And I lectured on that, so I want to just remind you of this. We are creating a round cheek face that will be highlighted. I'd say work with your highlights first so that we get that completely thorough. Work with your highlight on your forehead, your round eyebrows, the round eyeliner, instead of creating the angular eyeliner, which I showed you on my worksheet last time. Rounder lips, again, foundation the whole lips, shorten them, make them fatter, and then creating a rounder nose by a highlight that is slightly oval on the bridge and a round, you can do a round ball at the end and round flared on the nose. And then you'll end up with a better round face. So this gives you like a one-page step-by-step of doing your round face in addition to the demo that we had last week. So hopefully you have your worksheets ready. And That should make it more clear. Has everybody got that going? Sydney, you ready to go? You're good with the round face? Okay, so what are you going to start with? Everyone has their hair back, right? And then thinking about how you're going to round face your hair. Remember, I did those 2 goofy buns. And then you will keep going on that. I'm going to try and do a nose casting with the other team, and then I'll come right back and see you. So if you chat, I think I can get it, even if I'm in a breakout room. So please let me know if you have any questions. Okay?
Wait, so should we start our makeup right now, or do you just, oh, okay.
Start your round face makeup right now. And remember, you're going to think about your foundation, your highlights first with your forehead, your cheeks this, then you're going to do your liner, your brows, your lips. You can make a round face, round chin, a round tip. And then if you need more punch, because you need more contrast between your highlight and your foundation, in the middle of your cheek, you can do a tiny white dot that then you have a 3-dimensional sphere of white to highlight to foundation to shadow, right? We're never putting highlight and shadow together because that is a muddy effect. Okay? All right, go for it. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, we're going to try this again. I had this dream that I was going to do it, but I took it home and it was 10 o'clock last night and I couldn't manage. So I will record on Zoom. I'm going to record on this camera because then that could maybe be a better record. And I will start by mixing, and because I have everything all set up, so we should have more time and hopefully it'll be successful. So this will be an interesting, another experiment. Now I wanted to talk to you about, Cara, you said you were feeling nervous for me. So just one comment on that is that, first of all, at no time am I in danger. And the reason why is because I can completely rip that off in 1 second. Okay. I can just take it off. So it's no problem. In fact, I'll show you what it looks like today. I saved it for you. So it is still flexible, but you can see the edges are starting to harden. So it is not a permanent kind of a mold. And let me start the recording. See if I can do that. Just a second. I have to power up. Okay, so this is the alginate after 48 hours. It's starting to harden on the edges. But inside you can see that it's smooth, and where my face was, it's smooth. So we're going to try that again, starting with alginate. Mixing the alginate, putting it on. At no time I'm in danger because this is flexible. I can literally just take it off. There's absolutely no worry about it. I have to suddenly stop talking because my mouth is covered. And then in terms of breathing, I am being careful to avoid the nose. So I want to be slightly tilted back so that the airway is completely open. And again, never breathe in while you're applying that so that you don't plug your nose up. I'm going to put my collar back on, and I'm going to get my notepad. Did you have any thoughts between now and last time about the face casting? Okay, I can move that down. That's good. Any thoughts?
Not particularly. I'm looking forward to seeing you do a full walkthrough.
Yeah. I remember doing this before with a class. We had 14 people. And, you know, it took a few times to get the hang of it, because it is a practice thing, just like driving a car. And there's a rhythm to it that is more easily attainable if you do it more often. So when you haven't done it for 5 years, you know, it's no surprise that I'm not actually able to get it perfectly done. So I've now pinned my collar on, which will help just support the head, so I can just actually lean it back against the collar so that I can maybe get this area covered a bit more securely. Now I'll be mixing my gel trait, and I am going to mix less because I felt I had way too much to deal with last time. So I'm using the term gel trait, but it's alginate impression material, fast set. And again, it comes with a scoop. I'm not going to use this full cup because I threw so much material away. I'm going to use that smaller measure this time. Remember that you're starting with the powder. So this is 3 scoops. I'm just cleaning this out a little bit better than I had it. And I will put that into my larger container. And then I'll put my water into the powder, okay? Water will go into the powder. Moving my trash right to me so that my trash is easily attainable right here. And making sure that none of this is going down your sink. So if you've ever been a scuba diver, it's a lot like that. You know, you're sticking something on your face. You are breathing through your nose. And you have to be willing to just be in a very positive, calm state. So I have my empty container. I'll be putting my 3 scoops into my container and then getting my liquid so that I can agitate that. By the way, I should note that I have my cradle completely ready, so that when I get my cast off, I'm ready to put it in here. The nose won't crush, and then I'll be ready to pour my positive plaster. So I have everything set up today, and my water is ready. Or my plaster bandage. And my plaster bandages have been pre-cut. Let's see how we do. I'm starting to stir. Trying to set this camera up a little. So I'm starting to stir. And I have a lot less medium, so I am going to use less water. So I'm pouring it in. It's a little lumpy, and I'm just going to use half of it first. I think I need a little bit more, and then I'll just try and get it going. So I'm not using a super cold. I don't have my ice water going. That helps retard the fast set, but I am smoothing it. so that I'm getting it to a mixable and pliable state so that I can put this on my face. I think that's pretty good. And I'll be sitting down, and I have my plaster bandages right here as well. So let's take a look. And let me see if I can record this. Okay. I hope I recorded that early part. Maybe I didn't, but I have it on Zoom. So here we go. Again, I'll be working with getting this area covered with my head tilted slightly back. Okay,
Wow.
the plaster will set, and you can see that the inside is pretty smooth. And remember that you want the plaster to heat up, so it should be on a little bit longer. I'm going to put this in my cradle because I can manipulate it. Definitely wear a smock, right? And then the inside is pretty great. So if you have plaster bandage outside your gel tray, remember what you need to do is you need to do Vaseline in there before you put your plaster in there. So what I'm going to do is just wait till the plaster heats and sets, and then it's rigid like the previous piece that I showed you last time. I covered up the nose holes. You don't have to do that with the plaster. And then I'm going to smooth the nose and scar wax in there before I do the plaster. So there's some work I have to do. I'm going to get my cradle and put it in my cradle. So that you can see it's supported in the cradle. And then when it's really firm, I'm going to do my Vaseline around those edges where the gel tray is ended and the plaster, because I wanted to make sure I got plaster all the way around to secure the gel tray. I will put the nose and scar wax into those nose areas so that it's a flat piece. I think, you have to be careful here because you do want to get up as high as you can so that you can get that top of the nose. Okay. And I think it would also, based on my experience, be better to have, here's some things you should take notes on. First of all, have your plaster bandages in stack so that you know where they are and you know where your water is so that you can still maintain that slightly reclined position. You can do it, and also make sure your mirror is close enough so that you're not, I was trying to adjust to the zoom. So those are a couple of things that I would recommend. I found that having this on this side, you could see me looking for that at times, but I had a pretty good idea because I'd separated it into categories. So these longer strips were good to start here, and I went all the way around my area first, so that I was not, I was securing the outside edge so the gel tray would stay close to the face. So that was the point of putting around the outside edge. Then I was constantly trying to touch and see where did I have no plaster bandage, where did I have multiple, and then I wanted to make sure I had extra layers to support the nose. So you want at least 3 layers in all areas. But starting with that surround is helpful, okay? So I'm waiting to feel this. You can see it's really firming up. It's great. I'm not gonna pour my plaster till it's fully firm. And one thing that I really wanna do is make sure I'm not pouring it like this, but that the nose and the chin are in line. So when I place it in my cradle, I'm having it flat, so that I'm not creating an asymmetrical thick chin and no nose. So I'm going to be putting it in flat so it's this way. Okay, you can see how maybe I would do it this way, but that would give me a good chin cast, but not necessarily a nose cast. So we're going to just allow that to harden. So you guys, why don't you talk amongst yourselves? I'll go check on the other class for a minute. We'll let that harden. And then I will do the repair work on the inside with the Vaseline, painting it on to the plaster bandage, because again, we need a release between plaster bandage and plaster. And then I will just secure the nose so plaster doesn't go out through the nose area, and then I'll have a nostril area. And then I'll mix plaster and pour it in there, and then we'll be able to look at that. Okay? That plaster takes at least an hour. So what I'll do is maybe we'll do it, I'll pour it so that you can see it. And then at the end of class, when the other class is over at 3 o'clock, I'll put that on the end of the video and I'll try and get those together so that you can see it. Okay. And then I think you should talk amongst yourselves, see if you have any questions, if you have any hesitations. Be prepared to, I would say just try the alginate first. You saw how much easier it was the second time because I was familiar with the material and still I had a lot of material left. So you need to learn to work with this material and think about being able to, you will not, if you have a scoop, like this, then 3 scoops is more than adequate. And that would make it under 100 milliliters for you and less than a half a cup or right about a half a cup. So you can even do slightly under, okay? And then I have a half a cup of water left. I think maybe I used a quarter of a cup. So you want to pour that in gradually and then stir. And that is a whole learning curve. So I have done it many times, and even though I haven't, done it for 5 years, there is a sense memory. Not as easy as riding a bike. But so just plan to practice that and getting that on your face and covering the nose area, starting by dripping it here. I'd forgotten that before, but we start it always at the top and allow it to gravity come down. If for some reason it's going towards your nose, try not to breathe in and just take a Q-tip. Just a second. I have one right here. You should have that on your list, you guys. So put that on your list. So if it's coming towards your nose, you can just take that and clear it out, and then you can breathe. Because once you start obscuring the airway, your anxiety level will go up. Because you're breathing only through the nose. So pouring it down from the top, allowing it to drape over, using the spatula, pulling it up from the chin, draping it to the side. I wished I'd gotten a little further on the side. You can actually go a little further on the side. Just see exactly what you want. I mean, we could probably just go right here. You might just go just here. And then you would be able to have an airway. So Q-tips are an important thing. Okay, questions before we move on? This is really getting hot now. So it's nice and rigid. Yep, great. Kind of wet, still wet. All right, any questions? Okay, I'm going to zoom back to the other class for a minute and I'll clean up. And then I'll come back and see you in less than 10 minutes because I'll get that plaster ready and I'll prepare the inside so you can see the preparation. I wish I could make a Zoom recording for this part and a Zoom recording for the other part. And you know what I'm wondering? Maybe this would be better to actually have a separate Zoom for you guys and I could, oh, I can't have 2 Zooms open at once. That's a problem on the same device. I'm going to see if I can get some help on that. Okay. See you in a few. Chat.
Thank you.
You're on mute.
I'm checking in. So I am in the aftermath of a face casting, just letting you know. And this is, I was face casting this part, self face casting. And sorry about that. Even if I have my phone off, it somehow rings. So this is, I'm just showing you, I was doing it for the other class. We're going to do some prosthetic work. So I'm face casting my nose and mouth. So that's what I was doing. So any questions on your round face? And let's just take a look and see how you're doing right now. I will pin you and come in and look at you. Okay. So Tyler, where are you? You're on your highlight?
Working on the circles, like the highlight and shadow.
Show me the closest part of your cheek to the mirror, your cheekbone. Where is that big part?
Right.
A little lower. You want to do a little lower. Okay, that's your hot spot.
Okay.
That's the brightest part, and you're going to go out from there. So with your highlight, go out. That's the center. Go out from there. Otherwise, you're going to get too high into the the orbital fossa. Okay. So
Okay.
from there, and then about, start with a quarter and then smooth that out.
Gotcha.
So
And
right here, that's what you want to identify is where is that? And it's just on the edge. It's the most furthest out sticky point, but underneath there's nothing. We're going to fake that part. Okay.
Gotcha.
Alrighty.
So right about here.
Yep. Yeah.
Gotcha.
On both sides. And then try and, when you look in the mirror, make sure you're doing it even.
Mm-hmm.
So it's even across your face. Okay.
Gotcha.
Anastasia, I'm going to check at you.
I'm gonna continue going. I can still
Yep.
hear you guys though.
You keep going. I'm pinning Anastasia, so she's doing it now. I can see it working. And here I really see the plumpness of the cheek happening. And also, Tyler, that's a good thing. See how she's manipulating her mouth to take a look at it so that you get that hot spot right here on the cheek. Nice. You could do a little rounder on the eyeliner, so that it's thickest right in the center above the iris. And then if you want to make your lips even more pronounced, don't forget you can line with the pencil. And if you've done that, just make it smoother. I'm a little worried. You haven't powdered, correct? You have. Okay. So I'm reading your lips, but that's why it seems so subtle, right? There you go. Okay. So go ahead and just make those couple of corrections, and then don't forget about your hair. All right, Sydney, I'm going to pin you, girl. I saw Miranda for a minute. Is she in?
Or yeah, I'm in.
Okay.
I just joined.
Okay,
So
no, I got you. I'll come to you in a second.
Okay.
So Sydney, let's see where you are.
I already did my lips, and I don't know if
Your
you're
lips.
Huh?
You did what?
I did my lips and I outlined it, and then I used concealer on the side to make it.
Okay, so
Uh,
put your hand right on the part that you're going to use the highlight on your, go like this, smile. Okay, so see right here, put your fingers there. Exactly. Make them even. That's your brightest spot. So you do want to use that highlight, the ultralight character liner, the cream liner.
okay.
Your concealer's not enough contrast to your foundation.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
So do that. And then also look at the top of your brows because they have a beautiful arch. Try and make them a tiny bit rounder
Okay.
that we're looking at around. Okay.
Thank you.
Of course. That's looking good. Miranda, I'm going to just, okay, Miranda, I'm going to take you to breakout room 2 for a sec.
okay.
Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Stop. Okay, this is a mistake. So Miranda, are you here? Okay, so. Okay. Miranda, sorry, I've screwed that up. Okay. I have to go back to the breakout room. Sorry, I accidentally hit close, and I didn't want to close them. And they're closing in 3 seconds, so I apologize. I'm going to open the rooms again. Okay. So Miranda, now you can join in room 2. I'm going to pause this for a second. So now my plaster is really firming up, right? It's rigid. And I will prepare this for pouring my plaster. I need to do a couple things before that in terms of getting my materials. So I'm just going to pause the recording for a second. So one of the things you want to be really careful is make sure your eye makeup is off so that you are not going to get any sort of plaster dust from the bandages or alginate or anything stuck to your eyelashes. That can be dangerous, especially if they go into your eye area. And now I'm going to mix my plaster because my cradle is completely ready. My plaster is completely hard. I have at least 3 layers and my alginate is in there. And I will do my Vaseline, my plaster, and my nose and scar wax. So that nose and scar wax is good for something, right? What to do is just get that. And you can see I will be placing it right here to make sure that the nose is clear.
Don't you want the holes where the nostrils?
Yeah, you'll see it. You'll get an outline,
Are?
but if you don't block them, you'll get streams of plaster coming out through the nose,
Okay.
which maybe you don't want.
Got it.
So yeah, you do want them. And then you don't want to move this. You'll be able to see it when you do your plaster. So here's this. Smoothing it to the inside. You just don't want the plaster to make those worms out of your nose when you pour it. Okay, so I'm not like filling it up. I'm basically just stopping the hole. So there. And then I'm going to put Vaseline on the bandage part where I think I'm going to overlap my plaster. So it's just as a mold release, and then I can sand off anything that I don't want. Right? Because on the edges, my edges are good, but they may be a little thinner. So I want to support this. The alginate's lifting right here, but it will weight down with the plaster and make the shape of the face. So you see with one layer, it's just not sufficient. You really want to have those multiple layers of plaster. Okay. And now I'll make sure that's protected because I'm going to be adding weight here. It feels good on the inside. And again, same for plaster. You're going to put the powder in, and then you will put your water in. Remember, nothing down the sink. You'll be cursing yourself if you put it down the sink. Okay, I'm just gonna use just over 1 cup of plaster. So you see, I think that'll be enough, and if not, I can mix more and put it in. Same thing, I'll have my water and my spatula. I'd prefer a little bit longer spatula, but it's like working with making gravy. Oh, they're gonna kill me. I'm splashing it on the screen. Remember, plaster will harden. So if you put in too much water, it will harden. So this is pretty smooth. You can see it's a little bit more than cake batter. Making sure it's completely smooth in here. And now I'm going to paint it into my mask carefully by putting it, dropping it into the nose first. The mouth and chin, so that I'm not making a big air hole, and then I'm going to pour the rest of it in. And sorry, I should have this on the other side. Let me see if I can do that. This takes a while to set up, and you can actually put 1 or 2 layers on. I just need to take a look at it because it's going off the nose, so I'm going to try and balance it. Okay. Tapping so that I have my nose secured. Maybe lower that chin just a hair, and I'll see if I can get just a little more in there. I added too much water, so it's too runny now. You can see it's too runny. So I'm going to make a small amount in another container. I don't need much, but I want just a little bit more. So maybe another 1/4 cup. Stirring. Okay. Always better to start with the dry and put wet in. And now I have just a little bit more I'm going to add here. And then to get it out, you can take your plaster out by letting it dry in the plastic, and then it will crack out. So I put it primarily in the center, and then I can just manipulate it. And you can see that it's not so firm that I can't actually blend this into it. Just checking for bubbles. And then we're going to let it. That's it. We'll let it sit. And I'll reveal this when my class is over at 3:15. An hour at least is what you need to set it. Okay? Questions?
No.
I didn't really understand what you did with the nose and scar wax.
Okay, so when you look inside the mask, you can see where the nose was because it's actually a hole, and you can see through to see. I put a plaster bandage there. I put it on the inside of the mask to block this so that when I poured the plaster in, the negative to make this new positive, that the plaster would not just run out through the nose hole.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
if it runs out through the nose hole, then your plaster is not going to stay inside to create the mask, the three-dimensional
You
piece.
just covered the holes.
Just covered the hole. I barely just stuck it in to just go like this and cover the hole.
I thought maybe you made like some kind of shape.
No,
you
flat.
do that after when you have
You
the
want it
mask.
to be absolutely flat inside.
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
exactly. Yeah. Any other questions? Good one. No. All right. How are you feeling? Do you want to try it on Monday? Do you want to try? I think you should definitely try just a gel trait first. Everyone should have enough material that you can do a gel trait, and then you can just do an alginate mold. And if that's perfect, you can go ahead, be prepared. If it's not, though, be prepared that you may not have it perfect. So what's your pleasure?
I think that sounds good.
Yeah, I'm down for Monday. I think we need to pull the Band-Aid off and just do it.
And at least like, and not have to like do it and get it perfect. Like we're
Yeah.
just playing with Alginate on Monday.
Yeah, so
And-
let's work on Monday, we'll work on definitely, everyone will secure an alginate mold. So that you have a chance to do what I did, fail. We all remember. Fail.
the lovely note.
And just because the thing is you need to know how it feels to suddenly not talk. You're still trying to do something and you're going to have your nose covered, right? So you just want to be careful.
Yes.
So, okay. Then on Monday, we'll be seeing you and you'll be doing your alginate. So map out exactly what your process is going to be, what the supplies are that you're going to have. And you can actually Vaseline your eyes so that nothing sticks to it, your eyelashes. If we were going to do nose and scar, if we were going to do a full face, we'd Vaseline the sideburns. You know, if you feel like you have a hairy mustache, you want to Vaseline those areas. It's pretty mild stuff to get off. That alginate comes off very easily. Like the gel, like gelatin. It's much like that from the makeup class. But it's not hot. It's a cool, it's cool and it will remain cool on your face. So that when the plasters heat, you will probably not feel it through there. Okay.
Got it.
Right. See you Monday, you guys.
Oh, thanks.
Can you stop
right.
recording for a second?
Yes, just a second. I want to stop recording. I can take a look. Okay. Anastasia's ready. Let's record Anastasia in her round face. And you want to give us a little, you need to raise your screen just a little. We're getting your, there you go, because we're having the head cut off. Nice. How do you feel? Good.
Weird.
Doesn't it make you want to laugh? It's kind of funny.
It is.
Yeah.
So I try to use circle shape in everywhere. My cheeks, I don't know how to,
Chin.
chin, yeah. The same with the lips and with my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I cover my brows and try to make this
Uh-huh.
like circle.
Yeah, very nicely done.
Yeah, and I also used the darkest tone to highlight my
Shadow.
cheek.
To
Yeah.
shadow underneath.
The shadow, yeah.
Yeah. When you're using dark, you're shadowing. Very nice. Good. Round of applause. Okay. Thank you. And thank you for going first. And then Sydney, are you ready?
Okay, yeah.
Let me take the pin off of Anastasia. There we go.
So my eyebrows are pretty much already like round as is, but I just like did this part
Good
over
job.
here.
Yeah,
more
because that one was a little sharper.
round.
Nice.
And then the lips, I made that. And then I don't know if this is like a thing that I saw somewhere, but I contoured on the outside instead of like down the bridge of my nose. And then I did more highlight right here, which you said, and then blush over here.
Right. And then even what would have been a little more helpful is then when you shadow, you mimic that round edge that you do here, even though it's not realistic to your face, because we're not doing a realistic to your face. And your hairline's nice and round here. So that helps create a rounder image. And did you highlight here on the chin?
Yeah,
I see a little bit of that there as well. And you could do the tip of the nose,
Okay.
just rounding right there.
Okay.
And then do your second selfie.
Okay.
Pass that one in. Okay, Miranda, you ready?
Okay.
They just
So
yeah.
I look like a clown, but
Well, clowns
so-
around, and that's it's good to do something exaggerated and different from how you are. And that's what our
Right.
goal is. It's not to look like you, it's to be a character.
Yeah. So I made my eyebrows a lot rounder by like just filling them in more at the top. And then my lips, I put concealer on them first and then just started like more in the middle of my lip. And yeah, that makes them look like from afar, like they look a lot rounder. And then blush, I did like, I did that. And then I did the highlight of like the concealer around it to make it look more round. And then my eyeliner just did
Round.
Yeah.
So one of the things I would suggest in the process order would be you can do the highlight here first, and then you can blush on top of it.
Okay.
Actually use that on top of it. You can actually highlight and then powder, and then you can use your dry blush too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. And you could even, I would have loved to see those teeny tiny lips.
Okay.
But good job. Okay, Tyler, you're up. I can't hear you, but you're not muted. I
There
think
we go.
because you're plugged in. There you go.
There we go.
Perfect.
It was mute on my mic. So yeah, I feel really trippy with this.
Round eyebrows.
So I tried to go for like round and I printed out the round face practice schematic.
Yeah.
And it was telling me do the round, like almost like an arch and then down and about. So I'm like, how do I do that? But try and keep it somewhat natural. And I used quite a bit of the eyebrow pencil of both colors. So the outline itself on the outside is the black, and then the dark brown is somewhat filling in mixed with black within the eyes. And then it kind of has that round vibe.
It does have that round look.
I didn't do much with the chin. I just realized I probably could have done that and that would have worked. The only thing is I have that
cleft.
Divot. Yes.
Right.
So what I did a bit of highlight around the outsides of it and then along the jawline. That way it's not as distinct and curved down, because I have more of a narrow face than I do round.
You do.
I believe.
And you have to work against that.
And then shaving right before this helped, so it made it a lot easier.
Yeah, well, that's a change from last time.
And then I don't remember how many times I went over it before, after, in between powder, but I went through around the sides, like the cheeks, the cheekbone, more highlights, especially in where the bone itself is. The only thing I don't think I got right was really the shadow, because you can still see somewhat of the line.
Yeah, your shadow can be a little higher, closer to that highlight right here. The shadow can actually be higher in sort of if you look at the schematic that you printed, see how high that shadow line actually is on the paper. And then the other thing is you can shadow here so that we get a really round ball nose, so that we get a more, it's not on the paper, it's just a note that you can actually almost do a line on the nose so that you can,
I did attempt some highlights on the outside portions and
yeah,
then
you can go like
the
this
ball of the nose.
and create a line here.
Oh, like a shadow kind
A
of
nose,
thing?
yeah, if you do a shadow line here, then you'll have a round nose, and then you highlight it,
Oh.
which we can see.
Hmm.
So, you know,
And then
yeah, and you made it wider.
Mhm.
Yeah, so nice job on that. And the hair straight back creates a round image.
honestly, as I clicked it on for the video, I pulled off the cap and I'm like, you know what? I think this
Right.
works. So, yeah.
I think the brows, let's talk about the brows for a minute. I think
Mm.
they're fine. One of the things about brows is you want to draw individual lines like this. Instead of trying to drag your pencil in this way,
Mm.
you can draw, and that was great to use 2-color. You can actually just draw a line, a line, a line, a line, and let there be a little bit of space in between. Because when you look at eyebrows, you have a little space in between, but from a distance, it looks like an eyebrow, right? So it's just
Gotcha.
a technique that you can try for next time.
Almost a go with the grain kind of idea. Go
yeah.
up with
But the arch is very successful. The arch is very successful. And then each of you should try and animate your face so that before you take your selfie, you make it the roundest face possible, and then take the selfie in that pose. Yeah, so happy. Okay, really good work, you guys. I think that's very, very exciting. And now, so for starting next week with our middle-aged, we've now wrapped up 4 makeups that help you get ready with your technique so that you can understand your tools, the makeup that you have in your kit, the brushes, the pencils, the sponges, and you're getting some technique together. So this is the next makeup, and you'll see that when I go on practice and rubric. Are you seeing this blue page? I need a yes or something.
We see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is our middle-aged practice. We're modeling the skull, emphasizing the bone structure. Again, you can refer back to the thin and round. We have the skeleton there. So when we talk about the zygomatic arch, which is the cheekbone, the shadow underneath here, the infratemporal hollow, and here, here's what you want to do. You're trying to do yourself plus 20. If I was going to do it, I would do myself minus 20. So some of the things that are on here, I would do in reverse. So what you want to do is highlight this. The thing that happens in middle-aged, and what age do you think is middle-aged, by the way?
Late 30s,
45.
probably 40s.
35, 40s to 45, somewhere in there. 35 to 50.
Yeah.
So, and you guys are roughly around 20-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So,
30.
so plus 40 would make you 40. Plus, if you're 30, plus 20 would make you 50. So you're right there, plus 20, right? And that's important because that's what you want to put on your rubric. So this has a full rubric. Which we will look at, and you can download. Again, you're going to want your references, age 35 to 55 years old. It's very helpful if they're large and if they reflect your face shape, because what you're trying to do is see, how is my face going to age? And just like you looked at my glamour shot from when I was 33 to how I look now, my face has aged because the skin underneath the skin, the collagen layer gets reduced so that wrinkles become more prominent, and the skeleton becomes more prominent because the fatty layer underneath the skin has changed. And gravity draws the face down. So you want to get the best references you can. So when you're looking at beauty people like Jennifer Aniston and movie stars, You're looking at people who've had a lot of corrective work, and you're very seldom going to see a photograph of them without makeup. So I just say that to try and say, get the best references you can. And then I'm going to show you a couple that are, of course, beauty people, so you can take a look at those. You do want to do your complete character analysis. Tell me what age you're going to be. What kind of environment does this person live in? Do all the prompts on your schematic, okay? Your notes, where you're going to highlight and shadow, and that goes back to our page that you can look at while you're creating your makeup worksheet, and that your schematic and your sketch has complete information. So you will score that for yourself before you execute your makeup. That's where you need to be. And then this is from your selfie. After you put your selfie and you put it in your Google Doc or however you're uploading it, you look at what is my overall effect. We'll look at it in the meantime so that we can give you some touch-up notes just like today. Strong character projection, good wow factor, and I'm telling you, hair is very important. You want to think about, even if you're looking at a woman who is 50 who has long hair, you'll have a very young face and you're trying to create an older woman, and that may require a hair change, okay? It's going to be appropriate to the assignment. That's kind of a slam dunk, 2 points, unless you do a clown face or something. Eyes will be slightly sunken because remember that orbital fossa is any place where there's no bone, the skin is going to fall away. The skull is mottled. The nasolabial folds, which we'll talk about in a minute, we'll have some time to practice, will be perfect. Your jowls will be believable and your elements all in the right place. Everyone will have growth of skills, okay? So here's how it works. This is our possible points. You're going to grade yourself here. And then when you upload, I will look at this, okay? And that gives you a total point consideration. So let's go up and look at these a little bit more in depth. And I'm just going to pause for 1 second because I have to go get the cord and plug in. So let's see if I can do that. Just 1 sec so I get the cord in my water bottle. So let's look at these. First, we're talking about a general contouring of the skeletal structure under the makeup before you actually do the middle-aged. Because you have very youthful and supple, elastic skin, you will want to make the skeleton a little more obvious. And you remember looking at thin and round and looking at our skeleton that we had. So here's the orbital fossa. If you touch your eyes right now, you can feel that bone area, and it's sort of a rectangular shape, not a round shape. It goes from the inside corner of the nose to the outside of the eye, above the iris and below. So you want to have some slight sinking of the eye into the skull. This is one of the areas where you lose your skin texture, okay? Highlight above this brow area, and you may have done that for thin face. And you can see why the thin face is directly related to this, because it does emphasize bone structure. There's a subtle shading area here to indicate, again, this infratemporal hollow. It may not be exactly this exaggerated as this face. A little bit of highlight here on the skeletal structure for the frontal eminence. Same, you're going to highlight your bridge, shadow the nose, highlight your cheekbones, the top of the cheekbone, and shadow underneath the nose, and probably shadow here. Now, one of the prominent features that happens with middle-aged is nasolabial folds. And so if we look at this, you'll see this goes from the edge of the nose down to the lip. So nasio, which is nose, labial, lip, okay? Now you need to move your mouth around, and we'll do this again in a minute, to see where is that going to be on you. Lift your nose up, and you might see where those wrinkles are going to happen, because you probably, maybe you can't see them now. So there's a hard edge in the crease. And there's this point of highest contrast is between this crease and this highlight. And then a soft shadow creeping up from the crease. Okay. So hard edge, soft shadow, not going up so high as to go into the cheekbone. And then a strongest contrast with highlight here. So this blends up to the cheek and the highlight blends down to the center of the nose. The second most important item is the jowl here, where you bend your jaw. And remember, the mandible is the one that opens. You open your jaw and then you get a slight, at the edge of the back teeth, you have a rounding and you can have a little division right here. And then up on the side or almost in line with the corner of the lip, you're going to get another little divot here where the chin starts. So you probably felt that, Tyler, when you worked on your round face today, because you said you put your highlight all the way over to that edge, and it's a natural dividing line. So from the front, you're going to shadow here and bring it around to the chin, and then you're going to highlight on top of the jawbone. Okay. Let's go to the assignment. So here is the assignment for Monday. This is your student learning outcome. Demonstrate proper application of stage makeup using safe and corrective effective techniques. Character, that's your SLO. Your character should show an age of 35 to 55 years on a medium stage. So that would be somewhere between 15 and 30 feet away from you. If you're older than you want, like me, I would want to be minus 20. So it's a different kind of thing. The rubric is here again for your convenience. Look at middle-aged. It's all about being precise, subtle lines, and look at the images for the written description. So here's Allison Janey. We know she's a movie star. She's a big television star. She's extremely thin. Born 1959, which would make her, you know, she's probably at the very upper end of middle age. She's in her early 60s, right? So this is a great, big, nice picture, and it's an excellent way to look at middle-aged. You can see she's concealing the forehead with these bangs. She has a rather receding high hairline, which if her hair was pulled back would make her look older. You know, she's done a rounded brow to counteract the thinness of her face. Her face is highlighted here to give her a little bit rounder cheeks. So she's actually pushing to look younger. But you guys can also take a look at this to imitate her for your middle age. So look at the nice strong highlight on the nose and maybe slightly elongated to create that ball highlight touching this flared nostril. This is the nasolabial fold. Look how the line comes up and almost curves into and around the flared nostril. Here's that line that I was talking about that is the most specific line. Highest contrast is between this, your deepest shadow, and actually it could be a very, very skinny line of misty violet. We often use that as the third shadow, which is a little bit better than the maroon, which tends to be a little too red. And then from that shadow in the crease to here is highlight. Then you have a softer shadow. See, this is slightly darker than this highlighted area. Softer shadow up to where this poofs out, and then you have a highlight. So she also, it comes right to the lip. The crease stops, but then this greater puff comes all the way down. So you would want to highlight that area. Here is that little upside down V that you would shadow, bringing the jawline. Here's a tiny shadow here. So you highlight here, highlight the top of this part to here, and then you shadow underneath. And you can almost see the line here. And then here you'd create a shadow line where the arrow is, and then you come underneath the chin. So those are your primary things. You may have a sinking in the eye here and above. You can see that she's doing everything to counteract that by using the opposite, high sheen, light color, lighter here in the center, the corner of the eye, and lighter above and slightly shadowing to the outside. And she has what we call crow's feet, a couple of wrinkles there. So this is a subtle makeup. It's one of the hardest. It's very subtle. And then we have as our man, George Clooney. And if you look at his current movie, he really looks old. I can show you a picture of it because I get some of those things in the mail. But here he is, born in 61. Let me see if I can, there we go. Look at him up nice and big. You want to really get the largest image you can. The picture of Allison Janey is practically a full page so that you can really see all the details. So he is just turning 50. No, just turning 60. I have a picture in here from when he's 55. But let's look at him. He may have on some foundation because he's a movie star, but this is a pretty natural look. And you can see that here's some shadowing here. This is where the shadowing is creeping in to the forehead. A highlight here where the bone is in the frontal eminence is sticking out a bit. Highlight above the brows. This is one thing that we talked about on the first worksheet. Nose highlighted, flared, nose highlighted with some shadow. Again, sinking in the orbital fossa. So there would be shadow area here. You can indicate a slight eye bag with just a little shadow and a very soft line. He has a couple of good crow's feet. He's probably had those for 20 years. So my guess is he's had those for a long time. You can start getting those when you're 25. So you want to think about that. When he really crinkles up his face, you can see he has additional lines here. Those are wrinkle lines that because he has his face in a relaxed position, you're not seeing. Now, interestingly, actors train themselves to have their face a certain way for photographs because they don't want to be in an unflattering light. And you can see right here, because he has a slight double chin, he's a little heavier than sometimes we've seen him. So that's helping plump up his face and create a more youthful look. But if he was really smiling, you'd see this wrinkle line right here, both of them. Again, take a look at the nasolabial fold. You see how it can hook right into the top of the flare of the nostril. It comes down, and for him, it ends right here at the edge of the mouth. If he was really smiling, we'd get this extra highlight coming down in this diamond shape. The darkest fold is in the crease with highlight here, even though he has a very, very dark beard with small shadow going up to a highlighted on that puffy part of the cheek working its way down. So your highlight is here on top of the cheekbone, and your highlight is coming over the top of the nasolabial fold. And then if we look at his jawline, you can see here's his double chin right here. So you're going to highlight, there's a slight shadow at the edge. This is that corner of the jawline. Here's the hinge. If you put your hand in front of your ear and open and close, you'll feel your hinge. Draw your hand down, your thumb. You can feel the edge of the jaw here where the mandible is moving. And then you come to the forward to just outside the chin. Here's that little triangle that will shadow, and bring that around under the chin. And then you highlight on top of that, and you highlight on top of that triangle. Okay, here's your process. You're attending the lecture demo, and we'll have a few minutes for group work, but we're a small group, so we can just do it together. You want to research and find 2 research pictures. So you will attach your pictures just like I did for Thin and Glamour and put them into the, for makeup, corrective and glamour, you want to add those to your Google Doc. You're going to see what it looks like. These are just great examples for you to look for something that's a good example. So 2 of those you need. You need to plan your schematic, use modeling the skull, slight discoloration below the eye, sink the eye into the eye socket, apply the nasolabial folds, and create the slight jowl. That's at the jawline. Execute the makeup, record your product information, and then record with a digital picture of what you did. Here's your goals. Create a middle-aged character in the best makeup execution possible, that your character projection is strong and immediate. Further develop your skills in highlight and shadow to create illusion. So begin to understand your soft and hard edges. And this is what you want to make sure you upload. Makeup has an aged look, both in plan and execution. Makeup has an even appearance, not too heavy or lightly applied, and contrast is strong. Age and features should be seen from a distance. The correct and recommended techniques have been used, and the character should be evident. Okay, so it's available. I'll change these dates because I just opened this today. So I'll make these dates available from today, due on Monday, and you'll have until the end of the week to upload it. Okay. So again, that's in your modules. And I will change that right this second. Let me see if I can squish this down. And any questions on that? It's a pretty thorough outline. This Canvas course, because I taught this class last semester, has a pretty good outline for almost everything. And you can even, if you're working ahead, you can look at even demos from last semester. So nothing wrong with that. If you feel like you want to work with that, you absolutely can do that. So questions about that? Otherwise, I would like to give you a little time. You can talk about how you think you're going to plan your makeup. I'll put you in 2 rooms, 2 together. And then you can work on, yeah, we have 20 minutes. I don't know why my brain doesn't work so well in digital. It works better in analog. So we have 12 minutes. If you wanted to just try creating this nasolabial fold by, you can see, if you make your face move around, you can see it's going to hook there, just slightly come down this far. Mine has a little bit of a divot, but you're going to blend that together because there's no point in having it separate. And then you don't want to draw your line while you're creasing. I'm making my line with a green pencil. That's very handy. You can see it. You want to draw your line with your face relaxed, okay? And then put it so that you're seeing it in the right place. By the way, that's the same with eyeliner. You want to do your eyeliner with your eye open so that you can really see what the shape is that you're making. So try and train yourself doing that. From eyeliner, it's best to work from the outside in to avoid damaging the skin. So you want to work very gently with the face. So shall I put you in 2 breakout rooms? You can talk about just planning your makeup, get your schematic out, and you can start working on it right now. Good. And what you might like to do is a couple of just screen shares and look for some research. And I'll come to your rooms. So I will put Sydney, you with Miranda in, it's a room called TA 157. Don't worry about that. And then Tyler and Anastasia, I'll put you in room 2. I don't know what happened to room 1. So you're in room 2. Okay. So you should head over there and then I will join you in just a second. Their last. So the other breakout room came up with the idea of they're each going to take a picture of their parent. So if you can get a picture of your parent, and maybe Anastasia, you can have it emailed to you, or maybe you have one on your phone, or you can take one on your phone and you can upload it to a Google Doc. Then you actually have a genetic match of someone who may have similar skin that will do whatever, sag or something, or bone structure that you'll be able to look at and imitate, or what is the nasolabial or the wrinkle going to look like because they're probably your age plus 20, 25, or in that range. And that would put it right in that perfect area. And actually, you know, people in that age range, I mean, I always thought the 40s were the most beautiful. They really, people look spectacular because they've gained confidence. They have a certain amount of success, and now they can really live their life. So if they've taken care and they've worn sunscreen, you know, it will be a great way for you to measure, and then try and look at an additional research picture that's someone outside of your genetic group, so that you can then see and kind of compare and see things that you want to look at. And again, we're looking at nasolabial folds. We're looking at this line right here. You can see on me right here. And remember, I'm out of the middle-aged group. Really, I should be in the old group. And this eye socket, now, of course, I've corrected in here. So I even have a deeper eye socket than that normally, because I am trying to push my eye socket out. I have sunken eyes. But all of these things about the frontal eminence coming out, these bones, figuring out that modeling of the skull. And it's going to be absolutely the reverse of what we did today, which is round face.
Yeah.
And then this will play
Can
in.
I just take some picture of celebrities or like
Sure.
on the internet? Yeah, because my mom and me, we're very different, and she's older, so I think it would be.
So, you know, one person who might be good with you is, help me out, you guys, that girl from, you look a little, I think you could use the girl from Friends who is blonde.
Jennifer Aniston?
Phoebe. Yeah, the Phoebe girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will.
Not Jennifer Aniston. Her, she's
Phoebe Buffet.
yeah, but she's she has a really good look that you could probably follow. And then let's see if we can get a let's see if we can get Kyler somebody.
Well, Anastasia actually pulled up so I was looking at, when on Google typed in like actors, men in their 40s, and DiCaprio popped up. I'm like, hey, why not? So I started flipping through those pictures, and then Anastasia went, you know who you kind of look like, and pulled up a picture of Orlando Bloom. And I'm oh yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I worked with Orlando Bloom. So her name is Lisa Kudrow.
Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah, Kudrow. So I worked with Orlando Bloom. He
no kidding.
his face isn't quite as angular, and he's darker, but you can do that by just wetting your hair and creating. One thing I was going to mention, though, to you, particularly Tyler, which I think is really helpful, we'll talk about this on Monday, is how to use the hair color with the toothbrush, and you can just slightly touch the temples to give slight gray hair, because even though it might be a little foreshadowing, some people do get, my brother started getting gray hair when he was 25, you know, and my little sister has a lot more gray than I do, and she's been gray for 10 years. So people get gray hair, and it would help sell the middle-aged for men. And you can even, you do a little temple work, a little, you know, right here.
Yeah, my dad's actually got the same kind of thing going, the classic little
fade.
Yeah, the
little gray fade.
I like it. It's a cool style.
It is. And you also might want to even just barely touch your eyebrows. So take a look at his eyebrows and see if they're getting slightly gray. What happens is, because the gray comes in, it almost is a thinning effect of the eyebrow, because now your eyebrow doesn't look as dense because it has the light and dark in it. So just a little bit of gray in the eyebrow can help you. And that would be a particularly male thing. But Lisa, you know, Lisa Kudrow, it's blonde, and it's harder in blondes to see. Like, you can hardly see. I have a lot of gray hair right here. Let me see if I can show you. Right in there.
Gotcha.
Right here. So, you know, if I wear it parted on the side, maybe you don't see it as much. Vanity. But, you know, that's something that getting rid of your young hair, and your hair is fine for that. Like, you know, another person you could look at would be Matt Conaughey.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. His hair is very much like yours right now. And that would be, Matthew Conaughey might be a great guy for you to look at. He's also very angular. So it's just an idea.
yeah.
And then try and find another one along that line. I'm thinking about another one for Anastasia.
I can't
Are you
remember.
getting Matt Conaughey?
I do,
Fergie.
yeah.
Who's that?
Fergie? For Fergie?
Fergie.
Yeah, let me find out her age.
I mean, if there's certain things that,
35.
yeah, perfect. Then you can kind of, you know, get things lined up like this and say, oh, this, I can work with this piece. I can work with that part. And
So
then
kind of mix these
Yep.
two characters.
Yep.
Okay.
go with what works for you.
Perfect.
Okay.
I think Matthew Conaughey works great. I just found an awesome. The first picture that popped up on Google, actually,
Yeah.
I think it looks like it'll work very well. So I will.
So, you know, try that. You can do 3. Try Orlando Bloom, try your dad, you know, if he'll sit for a selfie, if he doesn't mind. And then just, you know,
I might also take a picture if he will let me. It shouldn't be a problem. I'll go through and take a picture of my dad. The only thing is that I look more like my mom, and my brother's the one who looks more like my dad. So
maybe you
I'm
just want a hair part, you know, just to look at the hair. It's not that you're going to identify. I mean, there will be some similarity somehow.
Yes.
That, but you might want to say,
Definitely the schnoz.
but maybe you want to say, you know, I really like that hair color pattern on this picture. On this picture, I think the eye shape or the jawline, like Matt McConaughey, or maybe the style, you can just like get all those things together. That's why you want to do your worksheet, right? And
Gotcha.
that's why when I showed you my thin face with colored pencil, you really can make it look like how, let's see it close up. I want to pin you.
So this one's thin. This is the thin face.
Pick it up to your camera.
See, I only drew really half
Uh-huh.
for the most part, but I did go ahead and do some of like the darker lines and whatnot. Kind of
Yeah.
It
You
reminds
can
me of
make,
Michael.
and don't be afraid to go darker with your
Schematic.
sketch.
Definitely. With the sketch.
So one thing that I do, and I'll show you, like I'll just put this down so you can see. No, let me get a piece of paper. Oh, I'll just get a schematic. Hold on a second.
I'm starting to get used to this new look of the round face, the big bushy eyebrows.
And cheeks, yeah, I can see the highlight on your cheeks.
Yeah.
This one's a little more like you can kind of tell, but
This
this
one
I think.
that I posted
Uh-huh.
was white. Okay. But I colored the whole skin in.
Mhm.
So when you want to do that, let me just see. I think
What I did, I also used some color for the face.
I did very light tan across the face for skin, and then went along and did I had like a darker brown that I went ahead and did the different lines and shapes to make it more thin.
Yeah. And when you work with your worksheet, you know, actually, what color is this? I don't know what color this is, but you know, you can give yourself an overall color just so that you're not working with white, right? So I'm actually coloring the entire skin, and that way I can make my highlights stand out a little more. And if you put your pencil on the side, you don't want to get your eye, but I just did.
Yeah, I've done that for
So
the thin.
it does. You can see that there's a tanness that happens versus the white over here.
Right.
So that really helps to give it. Also, giving yourself some eye color helps. So don't hesitate to color in whatever, you know, if your eyes are brown, or mine are kind of hazily.
I was going to, and then my both my greens broke, so I need to
So you
sharpen
can
that.
blend them together. You know, I mixed all kinds of crazy stuff, you know. I'll put in some brown. My eyes tend to be, when you're trying to make them more realistic, you know, it's a wide variety of color. But still, this breed's mostly blue, but and my eyes are mostly blue, but I started with green and then I did blue and then I did brown, right? So it helps create an eye. And then in the center, it's dark. So then you can make it darker. Right? It's just those tricks. And then when you're going to do your shadow, you know, get it in here. This little bump right here is where you want to start it. This is your nasolabial fold, and it's going to come down and curve to there. Right? It's going to come from here and curve down based on whatever your face shape is doing. So mine maybe is a little more out like this. See?
Mhm.
And then I'm going to just highlight this. I'm going to shadow it up here to give a little shadow of that. And I'm doing these tiny, tiny lines. Okay?
Gotcha.
That creates a shadow, but it's just a series of small lines. Helpful?
Indeed.
All right. And so same with the brows. I was just going to say, if you want to do your brows, you can do, even when you're painting your brows on, you know, you can do this in separate strokes and leave a little space in between. Don't feel like you have to actually put the brow on totally. You leave some
Gotcha.
space. Okay.
Mhm.
All righty.
Awesome.
You
Definitely
guys,
helps.
nice
Thank you.
job. We will stop this stinking recording.